Great ones! Welcome to the Conversations with Champions podcast. My name is Johnny Randolph, and I am a speaker, a trainer, a podcaster, and a recent published author. And our motto at the Conversations with Champions podcast is that we help speakers unleash their voice and ignite their full potential. Today, I have a fascinating guest. He is a keynote speaker. He is a humorist. He is one of the very few people on God's green earth to earn the Toastmasters Accredited Speaker Award. I am talking about Mr. Conor Cunneen. How you doing, Conor?
After that kind of an introduction, I am rocking, Johnny. I am rocking. Good, thank you.
Conor and all the great ones out there, what we do on the Conversations with Champions podcast is we will watch one of the videos of our speakers, and then we react to it. And after that reaction, I get the opportunity to pick the speaker's brain to get a glimpse at the genius behind their great presentations.
Well, Johnny, if you're picking my brain, it'll be a short conversation, but we'll see what will happen.
I have seen you speak, and I don't believe that 1 second. Well, with that being said, let's get started.
Johnny speaks wheeling in, truth and heart with a brilliant grin. He tells our tale, helps us see the best in you, the best in me. Oh.
Ask yourself, what do I want my attitude to be when things go wrong? You're not going to say, I want to be annoyed, I want to be upset. When you ask yourself the question, what do I want my attitude to be? You're more likely to say, I don't want to be angry, I don't want to be annoyed about this. And having answered that way, you will make some effort not to be angry and not to be frustrated. And I'll give an example where it helped me a couple of years ago. I was driving in the western suburbs of Chicago in heavy rush hour traffic. Came to a set of traffic lights, turned left at the traffic lights, and a few seconds after turning left, I noticed in my rear view mirror a mobile discotheque. Cop car, flashing lights. So I pulled to the slower lane, he pulled to the slower lane. And I remember saying to myself, well, holy St. Patrick and St. Bridget.
Uh-oh, St. Bridget.
Bit of respect there, please. Holy St. Patrick and St. Bridget, what could that fine officer of the law want from an upstanding citizen like
right,
me?
Because you didn't do anything wrong, did you?
That was the gist of what I was thinking.
Not at all.
I may have said just one 4-letter word. But for those of you whose mind is in the gutter, the word was oops. Which, as you all know, stands for uh-oh, police, stop.
Right. Yeah,
right. So I pulled into a little small parking lot at the side of the road. And as I was pulling in, I said to myself, now, why does he want to speak to me? And the only reason I could figure why he might want to speak to me was when I had turned left at the traffic lights. They were slightly red, but not by a whole lot, no, mind you. He is there on his computer checking me to see if, in my case, I'm a member of the Irish Republican Army, or even worse, a Cubs fan.
Oh.
Go White Sox.
You're a White Sox guy. Okay.
Play to the crowd.
Depending on who I'm speaking to, I obviously try and put in a kind of an answer to that gets a reaction. But when I was speaking up near the Green Bay area a couple of years ago, I made the comment that the cop was checking to see if I was a member of the Irish Republican Army, or worse, a Packers fan.
Uh-oh. Ooh.
I didn't think I would get out of that room alive.
And I'm surprised that you did.
So he was there checking my computer to see what my record was like. And I asked myself the question that I said you should ask when things go wrong. So I asked myself the question, what do I want my attitude to be? And I said, there's no point in being antsy and annoyed about this. He probably doesn't understand the concept of slightly red lights. So in my side mirror, I see him walking up towards me, And this being Chicagoland area, I prayed that he had an Irish name. I prayed that he had this vision of Ireland, that the roads are still unpaved, that milk is brought to the creamery via donkey and cart, and that traffic lights, if they exist at all, are, well, basically advisory. I look up, Officer Schmidt, who proceeded to tell me minute detail what I had done wrong. He asked for my license, and he asked for my insurance. Now, none of this is made up, I promise you. I had asked myself the question, what do I want my attitude to be? As he is looking at my license, he says to me, "Sir, I like your attitude." I'm thinking, woohoo, I'm getting away with this. Then he looks at my insurance and he says, "Sir, your insurance certificate is out of date." My wife normally looks after that, officer.
Right. Which is probably
He
true.
smiled. I think he realized he was dealing with one
Johnny.
more administratively incompetent husband. Ladies, you know the story, I'm sure. And he just handed back the insurance certificate to me. Now, I should tell you that this event happened on the 16th of March. Okay? One day before St. Patrick's Day. So the rest of the conversation went as follows. We're having great, good fun, and as you will see, it continued that way. So the rest of the conversation went, how much will this cost me, officer? He said, "I'll cite you for the red light. I'll leave you go on the insurance. That'll cost you $75, sir." $75? Do you know how many pints of Guinness I can get tomorrow for $75? The guy cracked up laughing. I think he thought I was on crystal meth. And he said to me, "Sir, if I was to cite you for the red light and the lack of insurance, this would be significantly more expensive. You'd have to go to a traffic court." So I said, "Thank you, I appreciate the break you're giving me." I pull into a very small parking lot with only one access and egress, so I had to turn the car around and drive by Officer Schmidt. As I drove by Officer Schmidt, I kid you not, he waved to me with a genuine smile. That was how the conversation had gone. And I said, "This is crazy. This guy's waving to me with a genuine smile, and he's after fining me $75. And I waved back to him with a genuine smile, saying, "This is really crazy. He's fined me $75, and I'm waving back to him." But what Officer Schmidt, though, would not have known was that for only $75, I had got a really memorable anecdote about the importance of asking yourself a really powerful question when things go wrong. And when things go wrong, and they will for every single person in this room at some stage, the question to ask yourself is, what do I want my attitude to be? It's a powerful question. If you get stuck in a traffic jam on the 88 this afternoon or the 355 or going home, and there's nothing you can do about it, ask yourself the question, what do I want my attitude to be? If you've got problems at work next week and something goes wrong, and it will, it's human nature, ask yourself the question, what do I want my attitude to be? If you've got a colleague who's struggling at work next week and you see that they're not in the best of form, if you can ask that person to remember what the Irish guy said last Friday, what do I want my attitude to be? It can make a difference to you.
Connor, that was excellent, sir.
That was actually to a healthcare conference. It was one of the larger hospitals here in the Chicagoland area, and it was a nurse appreciation week event. So I went in. I primarily talk about the concept of the gift of gab, Johnny, which is goals, attitude, and behavior. And right, what I try to do, and I say this to all speakers, is that the best way to appreciate your speech is to listen to the audience reaction and see where it works well, where it doesn't work well. And what I did with that one, there's two areas there. I'll give you just suggestions to improve it. And one is, I think, being sensitive to the audience. The cop was checking me. I said, "Do you know how many pints of Guinness you can get tomorrow for $75? And then I went to, the cop thought I was on crystal meth. That is a very funny line. But Johnny, I've really stopped using that line because so many people and so many communities have been damaged by crystal meth. So now what I say is the cop was thinking I must have been smoking something, which does not get as funny a line. But I mean, it's not the other one. I just felt I wasn't happy doing it anymore because I knew there was communities and people had been badly hurt by crystal meth. That's one of the areas where I worked on it. The other one that I put in there is, yes, the cop, as I was going out, he waved to me with a genuine smile. I waved back to him with a genuine smile. I now use a line consistently when I'm talking to organizations, Johnny, about communicating and getting your message across and building great teamwork, is that human beings mirror human beings' reaction. So simplistically, if we came onto this call here and you had a grumpy face, I might put on a grumpy face. If I went into a meeting and you see people kind of going, your first reaction is to kind of go defensive as well. Human beings mirror human beings' reaction. So what I say now when I'm telling that story about the cop, I've already made a comment previously that human beings mirror human beings' reaction. When I'm telling that story about the cop waved to me. And guess what, gang? Human beings mirror human beings' reaction.
You wave back to the cop.
I wave back to him as well. And when you're in a leadership role or in a role where you're trying to encourage your team, remember that human beings do mirror human beings' reaction. So your body language, the way you address someone, is going to have a huge impact on how they receive you and your message.
Love how you said you based your speech, right, on the feedback you were getting from your audience. You weren't just there delivering a message, you were there listening in order to serve your audience. Because listening is as much a part of communication as speaking is.
There's no doubt about that. And, you know, one of the things, I do a program on adding humor to your presentation. I think I might have done that at your district. And I've got this concept called laugh, 5 elements to adding humor to your presentation. The 5 of them are, well, actually, I'm going to give you 2 little lessons out of this. One is the first part of the acronym laugh is listen. The second part of the acronym laugh is anecdotes. U is for uncomfortable. So listen, anecdote. An uncomfortable anecdote is what's often funny, not a perfect one. Johnny, I was doing this a couple of weeks ago. I asked my audience, what do you think? So I've gone through these various ones. I'll come back to that in a second. But it's, sorry, I'm getting confused with something else there. So listen, anecdote, uncomfortable, Google, on the Bing as I say, and he to ho. One of the idea is that if you get a little chuckle, how can I go from he to make it ho? And one of the best ways to do that is to listen to the audience. I was doing a presentation to a large group of administrative professionals. I asked them, so I said, we got a compliment, hear the words thank you, address people with a name. What do you think P stands for? And someone shouts out, pterodactyl.
That's great. That's great.
Do that P. I'll ask the question. I'll get comments like positive or performance or something like that. I'll come back with the correct word, which is positive. And then I'll say, by the way, I was doing this a few weeks ago, and someone came out with pterodactyl. And it's
so the comedy is just right there in your face. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And the point is, and this is where I talk about the importance of listening when I'm talking about adding humor to your presentation. Most of the humor that I drop into my presentations is not created by me. Some of it is. Most of it is stuff that I capture around the place. It's called make your point, reinforce it with relevant humor, and then repeat the point again. And it's a great way for people to remember their content. But most of the time, you don't have to create the humor. Just listen, capture, and record. Yeah.
I love that you're actually saying this. One of the questions I was going to ask you at first was like, how do you get the courage to even do humor? Because humor is hard. Humor is hard. I think it's more for me, it's more difficult than inspiration or motivation. I love that you're describing the framework. But what I noticed in parallels was, and I always tell my students and attendees to come listen to me about speaking, is pay attention to your surroundings. Look at everything that's around you. And the more you start to do that, the more you can't unsee it, because now you're seeing the material out in the world. So I tell everybody, keep a story file. Keep a story file.
That might seem strange when it comes to humor.
Okay.
Forget about making them laugh. I do say that the core reason for adding humor to your presentation is not to make people laugh. The core reason for adding humor to your presentation is to build connection by making them laugh or making them smile. And what I do believe, Johnny, is that when some people say, I'm not funny or I'm afraid to try humor, forget about making them laugh. Just set yourself a goal that I would put a smile on their face. And if you put a smile on their face once, you can do it a second time and maybe a third time. You're building connection. You're building your own.
And they're going to start to laugh as you build those connections for the smile. Because it's human nature, like you said, like, oh, I like that.
That's it.
I like that.
Yeah.
So one step at a time. By that third time, it's like, ha, 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 yeah, you're right. That's perfect. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's right. And you just get more confident as you're doing it. Yeah. So that's one of the core pieces. And it took me a little bit of time. I've been doing this program on adding humor to your presentation. I also do a sales program on the unexpected case for humor in sales for quite some time. It took me a little bit of time to say, Conor, stop talking about getting the audience to laugh. Talk about getting the audience to smile, because most people would believe they can do that. They'll be anxious and uncertain about getting people to laugh. And also, in some business situations, a smile would be appropriate. Laughter may be too over the top for some business present situations, or I don't know how to do the correct timing, some things like that. But it always comes up with, I don't think I am funny. And I thought, everyone smiles and laughs each day, hopefully. Right. So if you can just make that happen rather than the laughter. And as I studied the neuroscience of humor, I realized that a smile works, a chuckle works, a laugh works to build connection with the audience.
And you have to bring a level of personality into any business presentation to demonstrate that you do care. Because if you cannot demonstrate that you care, why should I care about what you were saying?
Right. And you know, you're feeding me with some good little transition points here, Johnny, because one of the areas when people say, well, where do I find humor? I say, listen, capture and record around you. But one of the core areas where anyone will find humor, I believe, is customer service. We have all had examples where things went wrong with customer service, and then you're talking to your friends about it later on, and they'll be saying, I can't believe that, and you're kind of making some comment, and there's probably going to be some humor there. Two quick examples I could give you on that. If you've flown Southwest Air, I'm sure you have. I mean, one of the things that their flight attendants are very good at doing is building a connection with the flyers at the start by using goofball examples. I mean, my favorite one is when they're talking about the oxygen masks coming down. If we have run into difficulties and the oxygen masks come down, if you're traveling with children, put the oxygen mask on the child with the greatest potential first. Okay? Right. Now, again, I didn't write that. I just heard a few times from different people. Johnny's going to have a heart attack here. Defibrillator on aisle 5, please. Okay? But what I use that as an example of that's a wonderful example of using a little bit of humor to break tension, because people are nervous sometimes on planes. It helps build connection with the airline, with the flight attendants, etc. That's what I basically say there is it's anecdotes that are uncomfortable, or particularly for humor speech competitions. They are just gold, I believe, when you're trying to develop your humorous speech, which you should be working on a daily basis. By that I mean just capturing the humor around you.
The beauty of life, right? The natural rhythms of life produce so much humor and so much content for us to talk about. Yeah. So I want to just jump in here really quickly. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I am taking the leap that you took about 20 years ago. I'm doing it consistently, full time, for the most part. And some days, to your point, it's scary out there. Booking clients, income, and families to support, mortgages to take care of, right? It can get scary. What's the skill or the thought that you have used to sustain you through those rough patches?
I'm blessed with having a positive attitude, Johnny. I wake up every morning and say I'm really lucky in that case. But I also do know that I got to work on it. So I actually do use that question: what do I want my attitude to be? Quite often. So I'm in a business where you're pitching for business quite regularly, and you lose a lot more than you get. But when I lose one of them, especially ones I thought I was going to get, I'll put the phone down or just close out the email and I say, all right, what do I want my attitude to be? And I'm saying, I'm not going to leave this little disappointment beat me up. It actually motivates me to get back on the phone again and be more proactive, etc. I think that's from just an internal motivation point of view. I've got a few good mentoring colleagues who are also speakers who help we help each other out when we're struggling or we're looking for ideas, etc. And then I think the third thing is that if you really believe that your message is powerful and can make a difference to organizations and to people, that is a real motivator as well. And I know that as I've honed my message over a period of time, that I do make a difference to people. That's not just Conor Cunneen BS. It's actually comments I get back from people months after they've seen me a lot of the time. But the evaluations and the reports of responses from event planners, corporate clients, etc., showcase that.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I love the determine your own attitude mantra that you have.
Yeah.
Now, you've spoken all around the world in different venues, small venues, large venues, business, professional, humor. I wanted to know, what do you find as one universal truth that kind of is weaved through all of the different venues and human motivations that you've come across?
That's a good question. I would think that it is basically that everyone goes through the same emotions as the speaker. Everyone in the room has had the same emotions and pain and anxiety over their life. Now, what might have generated that could be different from one person to another, but we all have the same emotional bank, I think it is. And what I try to tap into is that I take my own personal examples. I mean, I've had 2 bouts of cancer, for instance, and I'm pretty open about the experiences I have. So I can talk to nurses and appreciate them. When I'm talking to oncology survivors or cancer survivors, I can talk to them as a cancer survivor, talk about I understand the pain you're going through. And this is one that's really important, Johnny, in this field. Caregivers of people who are ill never get the credit they deserve. They're not in physical pain, but they sure as heck are in emotional pain. And I try to give them some belief as well that this is not the end of the road. There is a future and things that will get better. But I would say your audience, they've all had the same emotions as you personally have had.
And your remedy for that kind of is what you talked about earlier, the positivity, that there's going to be something out there. There's going to be a brighter day.
Basically.
And it's just not BS. It's there's going to be a brighter day. And if you want a brighter day, you got to start believing in it, right?
Yeah.
That's where that's going to be the bedrock of how you're going to get through whatever you are encountering. I love that. Mr. Irishman, thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by the Conversations with Champions podcast and sharing some of your vast knowledge and experience with us.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Johnny, and continue to do the great work you're doing. I really, really enjoy this.
Thank you, sir. Out there, hit that like button or the subscribe button. I think I did it wrong. This is the like and this is the subscribe button. Hit that button to let the people know that you enjoy what you are seeing. And as always, I like to sign off. Please remember to be your best, to be inspired, to be great. Talk to you all later.
See you, Johnny. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. So